Greetings, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me, your host, Ellen Nicholas, sensuality consultant, for another episode of Your Pleasure Incorporated into Daily Living. Tonight's episode is on helping men relearn the habit of orgasm. And it's such an important thing because, according to statistics, 50% of men have no control over when they are going to ejaculate. They just have no control. And this is actually because a lot of people, guys, teach themselves how to have an orgasm when they're teenagers and they're by themselves and it's with masturbation. And it's, they really don't have to prove anything to anyone. They don't have to impress anyone. They're just trying to reach a goal as quickly as possible, especially if they feel like maybe someone's going to interrupt. Little do these guys know that they're actually setting up a habit, a foundation for what orgasm is going to be for them until they learn better. So the thing is, a guy can have an orgasm very, very quickly, but it's not necessarily a quality orgasm. I liken it to boiling water. If you allow for the water to get to just a rim of bubbles around the edge, yeah, you have boiling water, but really how much steam have you built? The more time and energy you put into it, the more of an explosive ending. So that's the same thing with pleasuring and with self-pleasuring and with being with a partner. The longer you can hold back, the more intense your orgasm is going to be. So, hi, Tamika. So it is really, really a good idea to establish good habits in the beginning. But I don't know too many mothers that actually have the talk with their sons about learning how to masturbate correctly so that he can learn how to control his ejaculate and when he is going to let go, as opposed to the penis making all the decisions. So tonight, I want to talk about the very famous squeeze technique. The squeeze technique was invented by Masters and Johnson's. That was a sex therapist team back in the 50s, and it has proved itself to be the most effective tool for helping to relearn the habit of orgasm. And that's really what we want to do. In our lives, everything that we do on a regular basis, we make it more efficient by making it into a habit. Well, no less is orgasm a habit. And if you've taught yourself that orgasm takes 5 minutes, then that's always what the body is going to do. And that might be okay when you're by yourself, but one day you're going to be with a partner and they're going to want you to hold back. And if you know how to hold back, then you're going to be a phenomenal lover. And if you don't know how to hold back, you're going to be apologizing for the rest of your life. And that's no fun. I mean, isn't it better to know? So the squeeze technique is not rough or painful in any way. It's just enough of a squeeze to bring the hardness down a little tiny bit, just enough to keep him from feeling the urge to ejaculate. And believe it or not, it's a training process. It takes about 2 weeks of effort every single day for about 10 to 15 minutes to work this practice until you get good at it, until you realize where your control is no longer there or where the warning is. And then it takes really about a month to finalize it, to really, really get it down. Now, I strongly recommend that although you can do this technique with a partner, I think it's better not to do it with a partner. Because just by the fact that you have a willing participant in your arousal, most people will fall back on their old habits. And the whole point of the squeeze technique is for that the 2 weeks of the training and the fact that you're stimulating yourself to an erection every day for 10 to 15 minutes, No time in there are you allowing an orgasm and ejaculation. No time. Because what you're doing is you're retraining your penis. It's very, very important that you understand that if you don't, then your penis is going to be in charge of when you ejaculate. And the sad fact is that 50% of men in the United States have a problem with holding back. They just don't know how to do it. So this is going to be an understanding on how to do it. And I hope that you will take this lesson to heart and that you will practice, 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 so that by the end of the month, or actually by the end of the month's time, if you start today, then by the 23rd of July, you will have created a whole different habit. And you say to yourself, well, why would I want to change? I mean, orgasm is orgasm, isn't it? You have an orgasm, it feels the same as any other orgasm. That's not true. The more time and effort you put into your arousal, the more intense your orgasm is going to be. And when you finally do hold back and experience the intensity, the mind-blowing sensations that your body can create when you hold back, I think most guys would opt to do that again and again and again, because it's so much more satisfying. It feels so much better. And, it just really does take all the energy out of you so that you can relax and release your endorphins and just feel good all over. So it's really important, especially for guys who are 30 and over, that in those first 2 weeks, they do not allow themselves to have an orgasm. Because if you do, then you have to start from the beginning again. So if you're like most guys, you taught yourself how to have an orgasm when you were a teenager. And now that bad habit is following you for the rest of your life. But the funny thing about the human body is that you can actually reset it. And you always change an orgasm because you've given the body something better to do. And that's what the squeeze technique will teach you. It'll teach you how to have a better orgasm. And once you experience that, you're going to be like, yes, and this is what I want to do. So if you're looking to become a proficient master of sexual release, expect to invest at least 2 weeks in the actual practice and 4 weeks to perfect it. And really do this by yourself, because if you have a partner there, it's really going to make it much more difficult to prevent yourself from wanting to have an orgasm. And each session should take about 10 to 15 minutes, no more. This is not a marathon thing. You're not going to be sore by the time you finish. So, okay. So then what's the process of the squeeze technique? So I have a friend here. I'm going to call him Member because he looks like an ice cream cone. I should call him Ice and Cream. And we'll pretend that this is the head and this is the body, okay? So what you do is you start stimulating yourself to an erection. And it's a nice strong erection that you're going for. Within the first few minutes, I want you to really be paying attention to the sensations that are going on inside your member, okay? And you're going to feel a little bit of a tinge, a little bit of a warning as you are getting more and more aroused. So about a third into your arousal, there'll be a little bit of a warning. I call it the little yellow flag because it indicates to you this is the point before the point of no return. Now, if you've always gone from 0 to 60 in 5 minutes, you don't even know that the little yellow flag exists. But if you can slow yourself up and actually start to feel what is going on inside of you, you will register where that sensation is. Just as that's about to happen, you squeeze, just when you're about to feel that place where, I better not go any further because I'm going to get there, you squeeze around the head, right underneath the head, putting the most pressure on the urethra. So that's the underside of the member, all right? And then what will happen is it will squeeze down some of the blood that cause the hardness and the erection. And then you take a couple of minutes to recover, to a couple of deep breaths to bring yourself back down a little bit. All right. And then you do the process all over again. You start to excite yourself. You get your penis nice and hard. And then just when you think that, there it is, almost there, squeeze the head and squeeze just enough to send the blood back down into your body. You should repeat this process several times. And after about 10 minutes or so of building up and letting down, you can end the process. It's extremely important during this process, I've said it once and I'm going to say it again and again, that you do not ejaculate during this time. You are actually training a very willful part of your body to behave, to do what you want it to do, to actually follow your lead instead of being the lead. Okay. And, it's really the sign of a phenomenal lover that knows how to hold back. So this is very, very, very important. And as I mentioned, especially if you're over 30 years old and normal sexuality for you has been a lack of control in the beginning, it's essential that you don't allow your body to have that orgasm for the first 2 weeks of training. I know it might sound severe, but it took you however long to get to this point. So all I'm asking is for 2 weeks to 4 weeks of a lifetime to re-change the habit and give yourself such a better quality orgasm. For the man who wants to be the best lover, the squeeze technique is a wonderful, proven method for helping him achieve the control that he wants, so that this head is in charge, not the little head between the nuts. Okay? We don't want that. If you want to be a satisfying lover, you have to know how to control yourself. And you can learn. Everybody can learn. It's just a matter of being mindful about the sensations that are going on in your body and practicing this squeeze technique for 10 to 15 minutes a day, every day for 2 weeks, and not allowing yourself to have the orgasm. If by chance you happen to have an orgasm one of those days, don't be angry, don't be upset, don't be pissed. There's always tomorrow. And work on it, be mindful of it, so that you can learn and relearn the habit of orgasm. Now, I really do hope that you found this presentation tonight helpful. If you have any questions, I am all about answering any questions. If you liked tonight's video and you found that there was any kind of value to it, please like it. Go to my YouTube page and subscribe to it. I need 100 people to like me. I can't even believe that 100 people haven't liked me yet. I just don't understand it. Is people don't want to know about good sex. I don't get it. Anyway, and thanks for joining me this week. I want to just let you know that next week we're going to be talking about the big dick dilemma. And what could that possibly be? Well, several people have asked me about how to have pleasurable fun with a guy that is super hung. And that's a whole different ball of wax. It's a whole different guy and equipment and cannot be treated the same. So we're going to be talking about that next week. So please do tune in for that. I know it's going to be a hoot, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, if there are no questions, hi, everybody. I'm so glad you guys showed up. Make sure you share this with anybody that you know might need it. And if she doesn't necessarily need it, maybe her lover does, so they can watch it together. Because, there's no place where a person can go to learn how to be a better lover. And if your sexuality is surrounded with any kind of shame or embarrassment or fear or worry or any of that, it's not something that you can openly discuss with anybody. Who do you talk to about it unless you feel like you want to go see a therapist? And most people don't want to go see a therapist because they don't really feel like they're sick. They don't have an issue. They just have this little problem that they need to fix. So this is one of those things that can actually be fixed. And if you haven't started your sex life, this is the best way to start, fellas, because when you teach yourself how to hold back from the very beginning, and you start to have the most explosive, satisfying, wonderful orgasms from the beginning, that is the foundation that you lay down for yourself, so that every time you are going to have an orgasm, your body refers back to that foundation and does the same thing. It prolongs the pleasure. Well, there's a question here, and I think it's a very, very good question. It's not called the squeeze technique. The question is there a squeeze technique for women that helps them to have orgasm faster? Yes, there is, and it's called Kegels. Absolutely. I can tell you right now, if you do Kegels in the morning and you do Kegels every single day, then later on that day, if you are going to decide to make love, your vaginal walls have already been primed. Your clitoris has already been primed. If you only do Kegels once, whenever, then you are not doing the exercise that you need to help you be toned on the inside and then much more responsive. So we do have our own squeeze technique, but for us, it's doing Kegels and keeping the vaginal walls toned and the blood flushing through regularly, not stagnating in the labia or stagnating in the clitoris or stagnating in the vaginal walls. You want to do these Kegels regularly, and by doing 300, I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really just 5 minutes. I recommend doing them to music, and you're absolutely welcome. Do them to music. You hear a song that you like the beat, and Kegel to the beat. By the time you finish that song, you've done almost 300 Kegels, if you count them, and then you knock off a couple more and you're done. But that is going to definitely help with your sexual response. Exercising the vagina with Kegel exercise is very, very important. So I hope that you're all doing your Kegel exercises, and I hope to see you back here again next week. If there aren't any other questions, I want to just thank you all very much for joining me, and I will see you guys next week when we talk about the big dick dilemma. Thank you so much. Visit my website, yourpleasure.com, for more information on some of the great fun topics that I get to talk about every week. And if you have a topic that you think would be helpful for not only for you, but for other people, please send the topic to ypi69@hotmail.com. That's my Your Pleasure Incorporated email address, and I will answer that question. And if your question is the kind of a question that would serve many people, I will definitely do a whole show on it, because that's what this whole show is about, to help people be better lovers. So do your Kegels, take good care of yourself, practice that squeeze technique, fellas, and change the course of your sex life for the rest of your life. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again next week. Namaste, everybody. Love you all. Bye for now.